be a lady tonight. Luck be a lady tonight. Luck if you've ever been a lady to begin with. Luck be a lady tonight.
I mentioned in the beginning of the interview, so obviously you're a terrific actress, and I watch all your movies, and every time you're on screen, you just have this presence that just lights up the screen because of your charisma and your charm and stuff. But I was reading online that you didn't start acting right away. You were working a lot of various jobs like selling jewelry, working as a dental assistant, working at a nightclub. Was acting always this thing though that kind of you were drawn towards though? Like was that something you were always working towards?
You know, no. My mother had me at 15, right? So I spent a lot of time with my grandma and watching a lot of television and watching a lot of old, wonderful 1940s, 50s, 30s movies in black and white with her. So I think that, and then I was put in front of the TV when she was cooking dinner in the early 70s where I was like doing I Love Lucy, Gilligan's Island, The Jeffersons, All in the Family. And I was immersed in television and I loved it. I mean, I Love Lucy was my favorite. And I think that that was sort of like my preschool in a weird way. I started developing a love for costume and makeup and wardrobe and changes and the acting and drama and cigarettes and it was kind of like early training for me. So I had to start early working out of necessity to survive. So I would just do whatever job I could get. And then I ended up not going to Juilliard. I ended up not doing this one path I kind of was thinking to take. And I went down I was making more money doing makeup. So I started assisting somebody doing makeup in the opera and then also in theater. And then I got a couple of my own theater productions doing makeup and hair. And that kind of made me go, I was like sitting backstage going like, oh God, like I know those lines. And I remember one day they took a break for lunch. It was a matinee and then going into the evening. So I was sticking around the theater and everybody had gone out like to grab their lunch. And I decided to go on stage. It was dark, no one was there, and just do this monologue. And then I didn't, and I thought I was all by myself. And all of a sudden I hear, I was horrified because I did this whole monologue and it was the costume girl. And she goes, Debbie, that was fantastic. You really should take lessons. And I thought, oh, well, I can't afford lessons. And I just thought I didn't know how it was done. And she goes, no. There's like totally schools you can go to. There's HB Studios, there's this one, there's that one. Long story short, I started studying. And once I started studying, I started releasing all this kind of, pent up emotions, pain. It was a really kind of cathartic way to let shit out. And yeah. I could be somebody else. I didn't have to be myself. But I still got to emote. And I enjoyed it and I did it well. And so I just so I had a craft to pay my rent. Rent was much cheaper back then. And I used, my side jobs, my craft as doing hair and makeup to pay the bills while I went to school a couple days a week. I remember working on like my monologues or doing a scene study with another actor for class. And then, you perform it in front of the class. And my makeup agent going like, oh, you've got a job, doing whatever. And I'm like, oh no, I can't. I'm doing, I'm performing a scene today in class. And they were like, no, you're not. Like, you have a job. I'm like, sorry. And I had to close one door for another one to open because eventually my agent got really angry with me because I kept on canceling jobs. And which I needed the money, but I was so into like my classes. So anyway, I ended up becoming an actress. I ended up getting an agent. I lied on my first resume because you couldn't check it. There was no internet, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I did this independent film. Oh, you've never heard of that? Oh yeah, well, you know, it didn't get seen by many people. I did this play. I was in, you know, the theater. Lies, and but it looked good on paper, and I had been studying for, you know, a couple of years, and I finally started booking work.
Being true to the craft and doing all these cool things. You mentioned, again, we're even working with Scorsese, Ray Liotta, all these people in Goodfellas, right? That experience alone, that must, at the time, that must have been like such a crazy experience because, you know, it was, you know, at the time, it was a big movie. You had Scorsese behind it, all these cool actors and stuff. What was that experience like for you? And even like the on-screen chemistry with Ray Liotta too. Like, how was that like for you working with him?
Oh my God, I was like blushing all the time because he's very, you know, he's a handsome guy. He was going through a lot at the time. His mother was very sick, and while we were filming it, she passed actually. But he's a very sensitive, intense guy with intense eyes, and you know, it was an intense character. He pretty much stayed in character the whole time. It was jarring, you know. I had 3 callbacks because I was younger than, you know, I was young and the role was older, but they thought I did a good job. So the first time I read for the casting person, the second time I read for Marty, the third time I did a chemistry read with Ray, and he was so nice. I was so nervous because, not because of him, but just because like, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm actually doing a scene in his small little office in front of Martin Scorsese, like, hello. And then I wasn't so worried about like meeting all the other actors in the movie because we're just people, right? Or even De Niro, even though I was a big fan. But I remember my first day. I took a taxi from Brooklyn to Harlem, where I was shooting in this brownstone. And I brought with me like some bread and some salami and just stuff to have in my trailer.
Delicious.
And I remember sitting, you know, they got me ready, and I sat on the stoop of this Harlem brownstone. And Marty sat next to me and started just like going, yeah, Deb, so he starts going, talking about, you know, when I was shooting, you know, the you know, with the band, Robbie Robertson, who was like his best friend, he was telling me all these great stories from like his more wild heydays of when he like got high and stuff, because he wanted to have some of that experience in my character. But I just remember sitting on the stoop, you know, like talking with him, like it was just like what people do every day. It was just 2 New Yorkers, and my experience was fast and furious. I mean, like, you know, it's an incredible cinematographer, and you know, all the people that work on it, hair, makeup, wardrobe, Marty, producers, etc. It was great because it just felt so like family almost. Like everybody was there to do their thing, but we were also all New Yorkers. And it was an amazing experience. I mean, for me, I will forever be grateful that I was cast in that role. It sort of set the tone. I mean, I got typecast quite a bit in my career because of it. And also I did Spike Lee movies where I'm playing another New Yorker. But you know what? I am a New Yorker, and there's nothing wrong with, you know, being typecast in that sense. Still, each character is a different person than me. You know, and it's, you know, I remember at one point I didn't want to go in for The Sopranos at one point when they were first casting it, because I was like, I can't do another mafia thing. Of course, I regret that now.
I was gonna say, you must have really yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what a fantastic. But you know, when I think about every character that was in that show, the characters that they cast were just meant to be those characters. I mean, you can't see anybody else in some of those roles.
But I think what many people, why they look at this Hollywood lifestyle as this cool fantasy is because, like you mentioned about Entourage too, that show really glorified a lot of things, right? And I think what it does a good job with, it's blending fiction with reality. I was actually watching an interview with Seth Green a few days ago, actually, and he was mentioning how, like, his character on the show, his cameos got a lot of backlash, right? Because he was playing Seth Green, but not playing obviously his real self, right? I wanted to ask you, because since again blending the fiction and reality does a good job with the show. Obviously, you played a different character, Shauna Roberts, but did people ever confuse the two of you? Like, did you ever meet fans or talk to people and they were thinking that you were gonna be like Shauna, like very outspoken and stuff, or no?
Let's make it a twofer, Shauna. This way the Chase brothers could wipe him out clean.
Stick to Chili Festival's drama?
What the fuck does that mean?
It means that you're far from a Sweet 16er's wet dream.
Well, I am very outspoken, so there is that. But Shauna was a barracuda. She was vulgar.
Very vulgar, yeah.
She was really vulgar. I mean, I curse, but I mean, Doug Ellen wrote things for me that I would blush when I would have to say certain paragraphs.
Dude or ex, Shauna? I mean, is this one of your kids' fathers?
When did we become friends, Eric?
We didn't. You want me to call Maria?
No, Ari's got it covered. I will call you after he calls me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Rude little Irish prick.
Nasty bitch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that happens a lot with any character you do. People thought I was like Maggie on Younger. People think I'm like, whoever, whatever series you're doing, the fans sometimes identify with you as that character. When, like, I'm nothing like Shauna, and her work ethic is something like, I don't have that type of work ethic, quite frankly. Like, she was always on it, pregnant, going to, pushing her baby on the phone, always stressed out. It's a very intense job. And you know what? Hollywood's not like that anymore. I mean, it was kind of changing even at the time. But, it's not like that. I mean, first of all, Entourage now would never get made because it's too much male misogyny and like, never, everyone's like so woke and whatever that like, it couldn't happen. But the system of how Hollywood was then is no longer. It doesn't exist, any of that. And I'm sure that, we all kind of got backlash, but it was, it's a piece. I mean, it was a really fun HBO show. I had a good time making it up until the end. It wasn't so much fun, but
It's okay. But yeah, I think I watched the show probably 4 times now. I literally just finished it like last week. I love that show because I watch.
Guys love that show, and sometimes girls like it too. But I don't watch it, so I can't watch it ever again.
Ever, yeah.
But I'm not a person that likes to watch myself. It's nothing to do with the show. The show is funny as hell. I mean, Jeremy Piven. He just like I died.
He's amazing. I know. Lloyd. That's so funny.
Oh yeah, Lloyd. Right. I forgot about Lloyd. And even all the female characters are really strong too.
Yeah. Perry Reese and Emmanuel Chakiri and stuff. If I'm saying her last name properly, but they're all fantastic. So I want to get your opinion on something. So I just watched the new Batman movie last week, right? Mm-hmm. And I know you were in Batman Forever as Spice, which honestly, whatever the people say the movie's not the best, I love Batman Forever too. So for example, let's say there's a job, right, that maybe like a person's not too familiar with the whole world, right? Like a Batman, let's give an example, right? Preparing for that role after, right? Or preparing for a role that you're not too familiar with the world with, is it a lot harder? Or do you find that you don't enjoy it as much? Or do you still treat it like you still treat every job like it's important, it's the same as ever?
Well, if I take a job, I do my job. I mean, like, if I have to train for it, I train. If I have to lose weight, gain weight, train. I mean, I've trained in shooting guns. For Batman, I had to learn how to, like, lasso a whip, which actually was cut from the movie.
Or how about that torch that you used, that thing to light Tommy Lee Jones' cigarette? It was like
I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's like a flamethrower. You're like lighting a cigarette with a flamethrower. It was so badass.
Oh my god.
The bat's stubborn refusal to expire is driving us insane.
Don't worry, baby.
You'll kill him soon.
No, I had a lot of fun on that film. I mean, I was in really good shape at the time. I was just training, on my own. I didn't have a trainer or anything. I mean, I did have a trainer actually, but it was my personal one that I hired at with the local gym. I trained to, snap the whip. But no, for me, I just it doesn't matter if I don't come from that world. I just did a show called The Penteveret. I wrapped it and it's going to premiere in May with Mike Myers. And it's a whole world in which it's created. So I was completely out of my element on so many levels. Terrified because Mike just kept on handing me monologues and pages of dialogues. He plays 7 different characters in it. And he was going to play the 8th, which was my character, and I think the studios decided they wanted a woman in it.
Yeah.
So he cast me. And I was kind of nervous because I thought it was going to be me having to play his ex-mother-in-law who was on his character on Coffee Talk on SNL. Mm-hmm. But he was great. But I was literally working with stand-up comedians and Keegan Michael Key, Ken Jeong, Mike. They play things really big, where I'm the actress, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I can do this, and I had so much fun. It was completely new for me, but out of my element, and I was brought in, and I quite frankly, I mean, I felt like I was coached by the best. He's brilliant, Mike, and. So it doesn't matter what the genre is. I do my research. Mm-hmm. I train. I get into it. I mean, you kind of have to fall into that world once you're cast.
Yeah, and even you mentioned he plays 8 characters. It reminds me of Austin Powers when he was playing Fat Bastard and Dr. Evil and stuff. He's such a comedic genius and stuff. I'm happy. I'm excited to see his upcoming stuff and everything that you're doing with him. That is so cool.
It's going to be great. It's going to be on Netflix. So I think it comes out May 5th.
But before we end off, is there anything else you got coming up that you want to talk about before we end off the show? Any little tidbits you can give, or you pretty much said it all actually?
Well, yeah, I've got only one thing coming out because Younger, I was there filming. It aired. It just wrapped forever. I did a film. I did. My daughter and I went to Spain together, and the director Paco Leon just did a movie called Rainbow, and he had directed Arde Madrid, which I was in. I did a cameo there, and that was wonderful. Just kind of going back to Spain and seeing all my Spanish actor friends and people there. But no, I other than that, I'm going to New York and Los Angeles to promote my new Netflix series that's coming up, The Penteveret, and beyond that, I'm hoping to get a job soon. I mean, I'm writing something. I'm also writing my book, which is taking me a really long time because I'm doing it by myself. My story, and I always had a camera with me since I was a teenager, so I've got pictures to go with my story. I never really wanted to tell my story, but I sort of have a good story to tell, a coming up story. Not so much about Hollywood, but even the beginnings. So I think it'll be an inspiring thing for young kids to read. Yeah,
well, when it comes out, I'll definitely be one to buy it for sure, 100%.
I'll send you a copy.
Oh.
But I'm just, I'm on the hustle right now. I'm jobless and I'm looking for work, and there's a couple, things I'm kind of watching and keeping an eye on that I'd like to be in or be part of. But we'll see.
Yeah. Well, actually,
this is how it is. You just gotta save your money because you never know when your next job.
You never know, right? It's unpredictable. But actually, one thing I want to mention for the audience that are watching right now, the show Younger that you were a part of too, had so much success because you guys renewed it twice. I know it was renewed for a 6th season, then a 7th season, and then it finally ended off after, right?
Yeah.
But that must have been just being a part of something that people really wanted to keep watching and watching. That must have really made you feel good to be a part of something that was so culturally loved,
Sometimes lying to the people you love best is the most loving thing you can do.
You sound like a twisted fortune cookie.
I accept that.
Well, ironically, I felt like because it was on TV Land that it was kind of like a sleeper hit. Like we were never nominated. People weren't aware. They're like, what's TV Land? So they had an incredible Viacom hired, because it's a Viacom show. They hired like incredible, girls that were. They had to deal with social media and campaigns and stuff, and it was exhausting. Listen, I love Darren Star. I had a great cast. It was a fantastic job. I mean, I moved from Los Angeles back to New York, and that show, I got it, I've been in New York for a couple of years, and this show just bam. It was just great because I was shooting near my house, kind of, in Brooklyn a lot. And it was a great way to be a present parent, be home for the kids, be on a show with great gals and guys, and it was such a blessing. I just wish that it had been I wish it was on a different network. No offense to TV Land or Viacom, I just wish that it got seen more in the moment, because there was some really great performances, but I just felt so blessed to have it, because we had a really good time, and the locations were wonderful, and working with Darren Star is a dream.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's good though. A lot of people here, my sister-in-law watched the show. When I told her I was having you on my show, she was like, "What?" She's like, "You're having Maggie on the show?" I go, "Yeah." She's like, "What the hell?" So many people here watch the show. People I've talked to. Yeah, so it's good. So even me, I myself, after I ended up checking a lot of the episodes out, just for research and everything like that. And it's phenomenal. And honestly, I wish you the best of success with everything. And I'm excited to see.
Thank you. Same to you.
And I hope to stay in touch. And yeah, it's just been a great time. Thank you for coming on today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, like I said, we have to stay in touch, and I can't wait to see the Pentever. It's gonna be awesome. Can't wait.
Thank you.
All right,
Adam. Well, listen. Have a great rest of your weekend, and
yeah, you too.
And be in touch.
Yeah, of course, and enjoy your dinner tonight. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, Debbie.
All right, ciao.